Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Renita. In my previous video, I shared with you all my decision to go with the bilateral mastectomy. So in this video, I will be discussing pre-surgery, surgery date, and recovery. And thank you for watching. So in my previous video, I shared with you all that I will be doing a bilateral mastectomy and actually it was a bilateral mastectomy with immediate reconstruction. So what that meant was that immediate reconstruction means the plastic surgeon comes in behind the general surgeon so that he could prepare your breast for implants at a later date. That's what immediate reconstruction is. So pre-surgery, what I had to do so that I could be prepared for the immediate reconstruction was visit the plastic surgeon's office. So my surgery was actually scheduled on a Friday afternoon. On Thursday afternoon around 5, I ended up going to the plastic surgeon's office so that I could have my breast marked, so that when the general surgeon went in, he knew what tissue could be removed and use for his work, and then it would also save them the majority of the skin for the actual plastic surgeon to go in and do his work later. So that's one of the things that I had to prepare for prior to surgery. Also prior to surgery, my insurance company, my health insurance company, provided me with a nurse guide, which is at no cost to you. It's just provided to you. And she also shared some helpful tips that would help me at home. I didn't know that they actually provided a service at no cost to you, but some of the information she shared it seemed to be of value after the actual surgery. So not sure if she ended up reaching out to me herself. I had no idea they were going to provide me with a nurse, but she calls in and she checks on me, she gives me tips, and that has been very valuable information. So on the day of surgery, I had to report to the hospital at 12. So I reported to the hospital at 12 and got checked in, and we went downstairs. And as soon as you got downstairs, they put you in a little triage area and tell you to go ahead and get undressed, sit in the bed, and they just start their pre-work just like any other outpatient surgery. I will share with you that because my surgery was scheduled actually at 3 p.m. And I didn't have anything to eat or drink since 12 midnight the night before. The thing about that is, if your surgery is late in the day, your veins they are like a little dehydrated. So the nurse had a little bit of a challenge getting my IV line started, but she ended up having to call another nurse to get it done. But that was the only thing that I disliked about the pre-work for surgery, is because she had to, I think I was poked like 3 or 4 times, and it was very uncomfortable. But anyway, so prior to me going in for surgery, my family did come in and they did, we prayed. They just came in and checked on me, and they were very supportive. My surgery ended up taking, I think, way longer than I anticipated. My first surgery was at 3, and they initially told me that it would take 2 hours for him to complete his part. And that was the general surgeon. And then the plastic surgeon was scheduled to come in at 5, and his work was supposed to take 2 hours as well. But people had already told me that my plastic surgeon is very meticulous, so they'd be surprised if it actually lasted 2 hours. And indeed, it did last more than 2 hours. So I ended up in a room that night, and it was after 10 p.m. So that means I'm thinking my surgery went from 3 to about 9:30, 9 o'clock. I really don't know the exact time. They never shared that information with me, but I do know that I ended up getting in my room just a little after 10 p.m. And when I got in my room, my family was there. They all came in, just to make sure that I was okay. And my family, they rolled in there really deep. It was a lot of them. I'm so happy that I have a supportive family that calls and check on me, just to make sure that, you know, I'm doing all right. Let's see. So when you wake up from surgery, well, once I was in the room, you know, I was in a good disposition. I'm not one of those crazy people under anesthesia or anything like that who say weird stuff, just regular. But what I did after my family left, the nurse came in and he said he had to drain my tubes. So I had 2 tubes placed on each side, one on the left, one on the right. And these tubes are attached to you by sutures. And then they're covered up with this plastic paper, and it's called Tegaderm. And they are basically stuck to you for about, I think, one was on me for exactly four weeks and 1 day, and one was on for around 2 weeks. But those tubes are the most annoying things you could ever have. And if you twist them the wrong way, they can be very painful. So like if the plastic lifted up a little bit and that suture turned, it made for the most painful experience. So the nurse came in to empty my tubes and basically drain. You know, those tubes had to be drained at least 4 times a day, and you also had to measure the liquid that was coming out of those tubes. Anytime you emptied those tubes, you had to measure it for the left side, and you also had to measure it for the right side. I will insert a picture of what the actual drain, I think they call it a drain log, actually looks like, so that you can see exactly what I'm talking about. But that was one of the things that I saw once I, you know, was actually in the bed. The 2 drain tubes that were attached to my side. I did peek into my bra that the doctor had. It was like a compression bra he provided you with. And the compression bra, I did look in, but I did not have any bandages on me at all. The only thing that was on me was this compression bra. So I guess they used, and I should have looked this up, but I didn't, but it looks like some type of glue, but it peels off later to secure your wounds. And I also learned that when the expanders were actually placed into my chest, actually they were placed under the pectoral muscle, so under my muscle, the expanders were placed in with 180 cc's of saline. And what will happen is, once my drainage tubes are removed, he will slowly add additional saline to my breast via the saline implant. So every week I would visit a doctor to get, and he would add in 60 cc's of saline until my chest grows to, my goal is to be around a C cup. Previously I was a D cup. So my goal, you know, until he has enough tissue expanded to, you know, have enough room to work with when it's time to have the silicone implants inserted. After he did the drainage tubes, I'm going back to the drainage tubes again. After he emptied the drainage tubes, I also had to use the restroom. So this was like it was my first time using the restroom after surgery. I had to go to the restroom, and the nurse and my husband ended up helping me get out the bed. But I tell you, I did make it to the bathroom. It was very difficult to get out that bed. Without their help, I don't even know how I would have been able to do it, because it was hard. But I got out the bed and I had to use the restroom. Now, what I didn't know, and someone did share with me, like, you're not going to be able to lift your arms and things like that. But I didn't realize it was going to be to that extent. But you really cannot lift your arms over your head. You cannot, you're not able to lift your arms over your head. The first day, I couldn't even wipe I had to use the bathroom, so I couldn't even wipe my own, I had to pee, but I couldn't wipe myself. The nurse had to wipe me because I couldn't even reach my arm behind my back to wipe because it hurt so bad. I was not prepared for that at all. So that was really, really a shock. So my overnight, I ended up staying just one night in the hospital, but my overnight stay consisted of blood pressure checks, my drainage tubes being empty, and them giving me my medicine. And all of my medicine, I actually physically took it. It was nothing that was given in an IV or anything like that. I physically took it. And I think that's one of the things they look at to see whether or not you'll be able to be released to go home, is if you can, take your own medicine. So the next morning when I woke up, my general surgeon came in and he asked me, what did I think about going home? And I was like, well, if it's no different from what they're doing in here, then yeah, I can go home. So we went ahead and he said he was going to charge my discharge, prepare my discharge paperwork and get my prescriptions ready so that I can go to the pharmacy and pick them up. So prior to being discharged, another nurse came in and she showed my husband and I how to empty the drainage tubes. And I'll insert a picture of the drainage tube just to make sure y'all know what they look like. And they showed us that, and then she also had me blow into what they call, I believe it's spirometer, and I hope I'm pronouncing it right, but I'll show you a picture of it because I'm pretty sure everybody's probably seen it in a hospital room for anyone who probably had surgery. But the purpose of the spirometer was I had to blow into it so that when I'm at home, or if I was in the hospital still, that you're so you're getting enough air in your lungs and so that you don't develop pneumonia. And I was surprised that I actually had that. And then the nurse guy I mentioned earlier, she also shared the same thing with me. She was like, you're probably going to get a spirometer so that you can blow into it so that you won't develop pneumonia. And sure enough, I got it. So I was released to go home Saturday morning, and I got home and, I pretty much ended up having to make the recliner, the couch, my bed for at least, I think it was at least 2 to 3 weeks, because I could not lay down in the bed. It was very difficult to lay in the bed when you have 2 drainage tubes attached to you on each side. It makes everything very uncomfortable. I was not able to sit up pull myself up out of a chair by myself. I needed assistance with it. I finally did, once I got home, I finally did have enough range of motion to wipe myself. So I can't remember how long it lasted, but I did remember that I did finally get enough strength to be able to do that myself. My husband had to help me with, recording the drainage logs and emptying them for me, because it was really a task with your arms and not being able to move your arms. I was pretty much the patient at home. That's what I would say, because my husband helped me out, my daughter helped me out, my son helped me out. They all helped me out a lot. The most important thing is, like, when you're going out and you're going to I had doctor visits when I was during the surgery as well, is that you need to just wear a button down shirt. That way you just slide into it and button it down. One thing I forgot to mention is that on surgery day, my nurse navigator actually came in and she provided me a bag of goodies. Inside that bag of goodies, and they were helpful things for me. But the most important thing she put in that bag was a camisole. Inside that the camisole is pretty much a tank top, but the camisole is a little bit different because it also has padding for breast inserts. So like if you wanted your breasts to appear larger than what they really were, you could put that in. I tried it. They were very uncomfortable. I didn't like it. I never wore them. But there is padding in there, and they also have 2 pouches to hold your drain. So when you're walking around the house and having to go to the restroom, you're not constantly trying to hold these 2 drains up or take a safety pin or attach them to something, because it's really, you don't want to just have these drains just dangling next to you. So that camisole that she provided was very helpful during the recovery time frame as well. So that is the gist of how everything worked. You're going to need some, if you know someone who has to go through something similar like that, you will definitely need some assistance to navigate around the house, to help you drive, had appointments and everything like that. So it was definitely, I don't even know how to describe it, but it wasn't the most painful thing I've ever been in my life, but it was definitely, it was a very uncomfortable experience. If you didn't have help, you're going to be very uncomfortable. I do know that I was on some pretty strong medicine, and I did drink. I remember sleeping a lot. I slept a lot because I would take my medicine and I would be asleep. Take my medicine, I'll be awake for a little bit, and I eat a little bit, and I would sleep. But I ended up, I will tell you this, I'm just reading my notes here. I ended up getting my left tube taken out on December 19th. On December 19th, I had my left tube removed. And then December 19th, I had my right tube removed. Because it was finally under 30 cc's. So that's one of the requirements, is that in order for the tube to be removed, which is done by the plastic surgeon, you would have to have it under 30 cc's and for 24-hour period. My left tube was actually removed on January 9th, and I swear I have been back to the plastic surgeon's office. I think I know I went on December 22nd. I want to say I went back to see him again on December 27th. That tube still wouldn't come out. And then finally on January 9th, so you know, it's Christmas, New Year's, and he went on vacation for the holiday anyway, so I had to wait. But January 9th, I finally got that tube under 30 cc's, and oh my God, I felt like I could do a praise dance. If anybody's ever had drainage tubes and know it, to me, it was the most horrible experience ever. The drainage tubes was the worst part of the recovery process. They hurt sometimes more than my breast did. Some of the other things that happened while I was going through the recovery is that my breast would have muscle spasms, and they would turn hot. They would be very hot, which I didn't quite understand. But you are given antibiotics, and I told the doctor about the symptoms, and he told me those things were normal, but those were some of the other things that's kind of like happened when I was going through the recovery process. So, and this is going to kind of like wrap up this video. Hope I wasn't too long-winded or just ramble on too much, but I just wanted to talk about the actual surgery and recovery. I do have some more content I want to deliver, and it's basically discussing some of the appointments that I went to during the recovery time frame. Some things I had to have done, and my chemo treatment plan, and those are going to be some of the next videos coming to you. So I want to thank you for watching. If you enjoy the video, please like and make sure you subscribe to my channel. Bye.